So at this time, we'll go ahead and close the meeting for the Facilities Committee so that we can move on to a regular council meeting. Thank you.
It is 7 o'clock, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council members, city officials, and welcome to the streaming audience. Welcome to the July 28, 2025 regular city council meeting. We are meeting at 26 South Paint Street, Chiillicothe, Ohio, and I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Bennett?
Here.
Payne? Barnes?
Here.
McKeever?
Here.
Dement?
Here.
Preston?
Here.
Dunn?
Here.
Creed?
Here.
Ms. Payne informed me that she would not be in attendance this evening. She's out of state. Is there a motion to excuse Ms. Payne? Motion by Ms. Bennett, second by Mr. Dement, and the clerk will call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Creed?
Yes.
Ms. Payne is excused, and at this point, I want to welcome back the clerk who was missed the last meeting because she was at a conference to improve on some of the things that we do here at council, and so we appreciate her being back this evening. Yeah, Mr. McQuirt has not been included in the roll because of our absence by the clerk, so we're going to catch up on that at this point.
For attendance, Mr. McQuirt.
Here.
And to excuse Payne, Mr. McQuirt.
Yes.
At this point, I would ask Mr. Creed to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Due to the clerk's schedule, the agenda, I think, was sent out about an hour late So in order to waive the 3-day rule, I would ask for a motion to waive that for the agenda. A motion by Ms. Dunn, second by Ms. Bennett, and the clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The minutes from the July 14, 2025 regular meeting have been distributed. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes. Motion by Ms. Dunn, second by Mr. McKeever. Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Yes.
Barnes, McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The minutes are approved. We'll move on to reports of committees. Development Committee, Mr. Dement.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Development has one item on tonight's agenda, a resolution authorizing Greater Chiillicothe and Ross County development to facilitate the future development of affordable housing on city-owned property located at 145 South Bridge Street and 364 East 5th Street, and authorizing city officials to execute that attached development agreement. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Engineering Committee, Ms. Dunn.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Finance and Technology Committee, Mr. Creed.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We had a committee meeting earlier. We discussed 3 items, 25062. This is authorization for the city to participate in the new national opioid settlement, similar to the one that we have now. Only this is with some different companies. This will bring money into the city. So we voted to move that forward to General Counsel. Next one is 25-064. This was the appropriation of coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. There were $34,486 out of the COVID funds that we did not spend, and this money must go back to the U.S. Department of Treasury. So we voted to move that one forward as well. And then 25-065, and this is appropriation of funds to cover increased costs of citywide insurance policies. These go up every year, and it's kind of an annual thing for us to, they estimate what they think it'll be, then the insurance comes in just like our auto insurance does for at home. And it came in a little over 50,000 more, and the committee has voted to move this forward to full council as well. On tonight's agenda, we have items 2 through 5, and this is all the bond money for purchasing vehicles that were authorized as part of the budget for this year. Just we had to borrow the money, so these things are broken down in 4 different categories. I'm not going to bore everybody by reading each one of those, but all those include emergency language, and at the appropriate time, I will ask to waive the 3-read rule so we can get these passed and get this done so we can purchase those vehicles. That concludes my report.
Thank you. The Human Resources Committee, Ms. Payne, is not here, so we'll move on to Parks and Rec Committee. Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We do not have anything on the agenda tonight.
Thank you. Safety Service Committee, Ms. Preston.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Safety Services has nothing on the agenda and therefore has nothing to report.
Utilities Committee, Mr. McKeever.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Utilities has nothing on the agenda for tonight. However, we did have a committee meeting for assignment 25063, which is the acceptance of a sewer utility easement for 1334 North Bridge Street. The committee voted to move that forward to the law director and then to full council. Nothing further.
Thank you. City Services Committee, Ms. Preston.
City Services also has nothing on the agenda this evening and therefore has nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Community Affairs Committee, Ms. Bennett.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We don't have anything on the agenda this evening, nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to Reports of officials, Mayor Feeney.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. I want to start off tonight by talking about what has gotten some news coverage and I think has, based on that news coverage, caused some concern among the public. So I just want to address the reports around what's called a plume at the old Wherever site, which is now operated by Howmet, and just kind of hope to explain and clarify that situation so the public is informed and hears it from me. So, as you may or may not know, there's a former site in Chiillicothe called Wherever, which is now operated by Howmet. The type of industrial work there was related to aluminum, and the end result of those operations many years ago was contamination of soil. The Ohio EPA and Howmet and Pixel have known for many years that the existence of that plume, that's the contamination, and its location was impacted by wells that were operated by Pixel. And going back several years, the EPA posed to Howmet the question, what happens if the wells operated by Pixel no longer operate? And the idea there being that those wells, even though that they were not related to Howmet's operations, because of their location in the ground and hydraulics and things that are well beyond what I understand, impacted the location and the migration or lack thereof of that plume. And so for several years, the EPA has known that if those wells, which are 17 and 18 at the Pixel site, stopped operating, there may be a impact on the plume that was created by Howmet. So that's the reporting that you've seen here recently. I just want to give a few facts related to the whole situation. So first and foremost, Pixel, if and when they stop operating, have to go through a formal process that is done with the approval of the EPA, which is called a cessation of regulated operations. So when they complete that process, their task is to remove contaminated machinery, anything that is contaminated at that site. And so cessation of operations can mean a couple things. One, cessation of operations can mean we stop making paper, but that doesn't mean that the wells necessarily stop operating. So the wells, when they stop operating, if and when, there is a potential impact on that plume, and that's what's been studied in the past. Simultaneously, Howmet has been required by the Ohio EPA to analyze, and there's already a report that's projected the possibility of what happens if these wells shut down. But Howmet is essentially tasked with figuring out what happens if the wells shut down, and then on top of that, being partners in with the EPA, a remediation, an ongoing new remediation concept. So in this situation, the remediation or the management of that plume was essentially aided by a different entity, that being Pixel. And so Howmet is tasked with figuring out what the new solution is for the remediation of that soil. They've also been asked by the Ohio EPA to create new ground monitoring wells to monitor what is happening with this plume in a way that's not happening at the level that EPA wanted. So we've got a situation that has been known about for a long time, and there are projections. If you read the report, the projected migration of the plume is to the southeast of the current location. But I think that the concern for the city of Chiillicothe, for the residents of Ross County and Chiillicothe, is making sure that we are safe and we are healthy. And so that's what I myself and the utilities department have been focused on, is making sure that regardless of the nomenclature, the words being used, that we are safe and healthy. And so first and foremost, we wanted to make sure that our drinking water is safe. And so just to give you a sense, we're talking about a location on the southeast side of town with Howmet and Pixel. It's over 2 miles from where we get it, which our source of drinking water. So we get our drinking water from wells that are drilled in Chiillicothe Park, right? More than 2 miles from where this plume is today. And so our water is as safe today as it was a couple years ago, and as safe as it will be, according to the EPA, even if these wells stop performing. That being said, we are in support of the EPA's efforts to increase ground monitoring, because we want to make sure nothing's moving and it's not moving in a manner that would be adverse to the city or our safety. And two, that we want to hold Howmet's feet to the fire on remediation, right? That, like I said, the hydraulics and the scientific nature of how these things move beyond me, but we want to make sure that the EPA holds Howmet's feet to the fire, making sure that we can rest assured that we remain safe. I've been asked about the impact on the wastewater treatment plant, which is much closer to our drinking water source than, I'm sorry, the plume is closer to the wastewater treatment plant than it is to the water treatment plant. And so just to give you an idea, we flush our toilets, water goes down the drain, it runs through pipes, it goes to the wastewater treatment plant, the water is treated, and it goes into the river, right? So the proximity of a plume, even if it was on adjacent property to the wastewater treatment plant, which it's not, doesn't pose any additional threat to any of our health and safety, right? Because it's not going into the pipes that are going to the wastewater treatment plant. And if it did, they'd be treated before it went out to the river. So we're talking about stuff that's in the ground that's not really entering or getting near or closer to the wastewater treatment plant. But if it did, it wouldn't be a concern for us. So the main concern is making sure that, the EPA stays on top of Howmet to make sure this thing isn't moving around, to make sure that the hypothetical scenarios, which have been studied, either become true or not in terms of migration. And then just finally for us, making sure that our residents are safe. Now that is, for better or for worse, not a highly residential area, but our main concern would be any residents in that area are safe, right? Because there's a lot of industrial type of work in that area. But our concern is first and foremost with the residents. We've addressed the drinking water concerns, and so anything beyond that would be any type of soil contamination, anything like that could or would affect any residents. So those are the type of things we're staying on top of. We have, as a city, a lot of interaction with the Ohio EPA. We communicate with them daily on the rehabilitation and current status of the wastewater treatment facility. Ammonia levels, we're reporting to them daily what's going on over there. We work with them in terms of the cleanliness and the health and safety of the water that comes out of the water treatment plant. Every year, you can find it on our website, we produce a report about our water quality in the city of Chiillicothe. And then we have things that go on that most people don't even realize. For example, the city used to own a landfill, and we are obligated to monitor that landfill. In fact, I remember when I was a city auditor, there was something like 10 years left of monitoring requirement. And I remember thinking, oh, great, in 10 years we won't have to pay this cost anymore to provide monitoring. Well, over time, as you might imagine, science evolves, And the things that they wanted us to monitor 40 years ago at this landfill, the science evolves, and you can imagine things that we weren't even aware of that could cause problems 40 years ago, we become aware of. The monitoring levels change, and so our monitoring of that former landfill site, which hasn't been operational in decades, is ongoing, and we pay, I don't know, this year probably $40,000 to pay for monitoring of that site. So we have a lot of interaction with the EPA on multiple levels, frankly on a daily basis, and that's the type of thing that the community might not be front on our mind as lay people, but we have a lot of confidence, and you often hear the reverse. Oh no, the EPA has, they're annoying, or they've got too many regulations, or that sort of thing. Well, in this situation, and it's a very positive thing, their level of engagement with this situation. And so if and when there are updates, I will provide them to the community. But I just wanted to offer some clarity. And again, I apologize. My scientific acumen is not, I'm not a scientist, but I tried to sort of relay it in the way that I understand the situation. So I will continue. And I think that the Ohio EPA, State of Ohio, well aware, and I imagine we'll get communications from them as well. But I think especially for the folks on that side of town, that's our number one priority, knowing that the drinking water is a safe distance from the plume site. Making sure that residents in that area are safe is my top concern. And every communication we've had from the Ohio EPA to today leads me to be confident that those residents are safe today and will continue to be safe even if wells 17 and 18 stop operating. But I'm reassured because we've been planning ahead for this for quite a few years. Moving on to some other items of note, nothing quite as significant as that, but we have a couple road closures starting tomorrow. At the base of Bellevue, the road will be closed for some water line repair, initial work. So that just be aware on your commute tomorrow. Bellevue will be closed, and then our annual paving program is starting up tomorrow. I think that tomorrow it begins in Naples Orchard, so that'll be tomorrow as well. Another note, we have started construction on the salt shed, which has been a frustrating situation for us, but I thank council for for sticking with it. As a reminder, we got a grant to construct that salt shed over on Rennick Avenue. This is to keep our salt covered in inclement weather, and the pricing on bids just kept coming back higher than we anticipated after our engineers' estimates. So that construction is underway, which means that our salt will be undercover for this winter season. The Pepsi garage, have I talked too long? The battery's dying. The Pepsi garage construction is complete. Both Service Department and Parks and Recreation are in the facility. Utilities are the next to move, and we're working through some IT issues to get them fully out of the property on Park Street and into the Pepsi garage. So that's moving along nicely. And I'll conclude with just a note that the water rates that were voted on to increase a couple council meetings ago, there'll be a notice that goes on the bills in August, and that 2% water rate increase will go on the bill. First bill will be recognized on the bill in September. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor Feeney. We'll move to Auditor Spetnagel.
Tonight I don't have too much to report. I did send out the June financial statements to everyone here in council, and to anyone that wants to see that, you can go to the Chiillicothe website, go to Auditor and click on ClearGov, and you can see the financial statements. And then I just want to request that we waive the three read roll for the bond items, so that way we can get that passed tonight. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Auditor Spetnagel. Law Director.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Aside from everything you've already heard, we're very busy drafting up all the paperwork that's coming our way. So aside from that, we have no other report tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll now move to audience participation. Any person wishing to address the council must first provide his or her name and address. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes, and I'll give you a warning when there is 1 minute remaining. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Heidi Carter. I live at 182 Legend Drive, Chiillicothe, Ohio. I work in the city, and I just wanted to come, and I think that the CPD needs to be commended for what they're trying to do on Bridge Street, especially when I'm busy trying to deliver my stuff during the week to my people, with people not understanding do not block the intersection. I think that they've been working very hard. So I think that Officer Gay and especially Officer Wright needs a lot of, needs to be, I just want them to be commended for what they've done, because knowing people that know me, I have chilled out a lot in the last couple years, but I even called the state trooper, like, this is 159, you can help, like, we have to do it as a team. So I just want to tell you that I think Officer Gay and Officer Wright is doing a wonderful job in trying to help with that Bridge Street mess, because we got 3 more years of it. So I do appreciate all their effort and what they're trying to do. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tana Sidrus. I live at 415 Lundbeck Road. First thing I am announcing is the August Coffee with Council is going to be August 13th, which is a Wednesday. It's from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. I am going to go ahead and say that we'll just have that at roast because I have not heard back from the other business. And then the only other thing is just a generalized question. I don't know if there's a way for Mayor Feeney to send me contact information for the people with the EPA. Just I just have a few questions environmentally because that's my major in school. So, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Alan Davis. For years, I lived at 370 Braywood here in Chiillicothe. We did move, my wife and I did move down to Waverly. We're now at 710 East 5th Street. Sunday, happened to read the Gazette. We still try to keep up on what's going on. And I saw a guest opinion piece. And in that opinion piece, it talked about how the GOP is making it harder to build solar and wind and battery storage right here in Ohio. These are the very projects that made up 93% of the new U.S. energy supply in 2024, making our grid more reliable. Now, when I saw that statement that it's making our grid reliable, I said I got to come up here and talk to City Council because that's the exact opposite of what it's doing. Yellowbud Solar, which I think people are familiar with, up on 104, was one of the first projects in Ohio to be granted right to operate and to start operation. I was able to, a few months ago, I was able to find a chart, and that's that one with the green bars, on what they actually produce on an average each month for about the first year and a half. And what you see is it varies all over the place. There is a pattern: extremely low production in the winter, a much higher production in the summer, which makes sense because you have shorter hours in the winter, you have longer hours in the summer, you have more sun in the summer. But when you go through it, what you actually find out that, and I found an information on what they actually produced for a year, and it was about 21% of what the rated amount, or the amount that was shown on the public notices, was. And so my question is, why would you ever buy anything that only works 21% of the time? Okay. The only thing predictable about solar is, and the little chart there is, you know that during the evening and the morning, there'll be almost no electricity produced. The amount that's going to be produced during the daytime hours varies based on cloud cover, temperature, a lot of other things. So is that a problem? PJM Interconnection is the organization responsible for making sure we have high voltage electricity, or electricity in our high voltage lines. And last December, they put out on their website this deal. And there are several reasons why they're concerned that they may not have the capacity to generate enough electricity in their service area. But one of them is high proportion of intermittent resources in the new queue, the ones that are coming on. And what are intermittent? That's solar and wind. So the more solar and wind we add to our grid, the less reliable it is. Now, that's nothing new. The charts down below, some of those have been around for years. The first one shows Ohio is the third least, has the third least potential for solar. The chart in the middle shows, the white shows areas of the nation that have no real commercial potential from wind. And most of Ohio is covered in white. The only part that isn't is the northwest corner. It's a tan, and that's marginal. The top of the two charts on the other side shows winter weather. We have cold winter weather at the same time that solar won't produce electricity. And the last one is one that I majored in anthropology and geography, and so it was familiar to me. It's the climate zones that make up the U.S. The three on the east make up the east, all have humid in their title. Humid means high levels of precipitation, and you have to have high levels of cloud cover if you're going to have high levels of precipitation. I do weird things. The chart, the big chart on the left-hand side is a cloud cover or a sun chart. comparing Columbus, a 6-month period in Columbus with actual information from timeanddate.com compared to Tucson, Arizona. So Columbus had 4 bright sunny days in 6 months. Tucson had 134. So why are we building solar in Ohio? The 2 charts above, you can go out to pjm.com. That's the
You have a minute
interconnection-
left. You have a minute left. Go ahead.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Interconnections website, and you can see hour by hour, day by day, what they produce. The chart on the bottom shows the capacity factor. How much of their rated level of production do they actually produce? Solar is one of the lowest of the ones. And on the last, why are we doing this? When I went to school, the chart on the left, on the back page, was what we knew as the temperature changes over the last 1,000 years. It was a medieval warm period and a little ice age, and we're coming out of the little ice age starting in 1850. In 1999, a brand new chart came out, and it was immediately accepted. And it's the hockey stick chart. And where that came from, who knows? So if we want reliable energy, we're not going to get it from solar and wind. So I just thought you should know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Natalie Baldwin, 145 South Paint Street, Chiillicothe, Ohio. On July 14, 2025, 272 days or 9 months after Dr. Schoonmaker submitted the first application to the Zoning and Planning Commission requesting a zoning change for 36 North Walnut for veterinary medicine as a conditional use, and 173 days or 5 3/4 months after Dr. Schoonmaker submitted a second application to the Zoning and Planning Commission requesting a zoning text amendment for the Downtown Enterprise District to add veterinary offices not including outside boarding of animals as a use permitted by right, we were informed that because the city is currently undergoing a comprehensive rewrite of its planning and zoning code, which will impact various zoning districts and land uses, including conditional uses, any consideration for 36 North Walnut should not take place until veterinary as a conditional use was incorporated into the DE district code. Around October 15, 2024, we submitted our first application to the Zoning and Planning Commission requesting a zoning change for 36 North Walnut for conditional use as a veterinary medical facility. The site plan and letter took into consideration the criteria listed in the City of Chiillicothe, Ohio ordinances, Chapter 1131.02.g, 1 through 4, items 1 through 4, of discussing how the adaptive reuse of a 1950s bomb shelter was ideal for controlling smell and noise. The request was heard at November 13, 2024 zoning and planning meeting just prior to a status update regarding the comprehensive rewrite of its zoning or planning and zoning code. After review by an outside consultant and the committee, we were informed that no, 36 North Walnut cannot be used as a veterinary practice because veterinary use is excluded in the DE district. However, we could apply for conditional veterinary use by rezoning to LC or could request a text amendment by right or conditional use. A second application was submitted requesting a zoning text amendment for the Downtown Enterprise District to add veterinary offices not including outside boarding of animals as a use permitted by right on January 22, 2025, since we'd already attempted the request for a zoning change for 36 North Walnut for conditional use as a veterinary medical facility and for the sake of time. This is the application that Law Director Hannah Bivens references in her July 14 notice. This application was reviewed at the March 125 Zoning and Planning meeting, and after a review by an outside consultant and the committee on March 31st, 2025, a recommendation to move to council to change code for the DE district to add contingent veterinary use was made. Namely, veterinary use is no smellier or noisier than current potential applications such as a bar, restaurant, or pet store, and in fact is less stressful than those options with respect to parking and traffic since appointments are typically scheduled. So in light of the Choose Chiillicothe initiative, it seemed reasonable to diversify the available services by adding veterinary medicine as a conditional use. Not once in the 272 days that passed since our first application or the 173 days that passed since our second application were we informed that changes to zoning for a property could not be made due to the existence of the comprehensive rewrite of the Zoning and Planning Code. Further, on June 18, 2025, draft of the Unified Development Code states that applications that are received and completed before the adoption of the UDC shall continue the respective process according to the rules and provisions that were in place at the time of filing, including applications before the City Council and the Planning Commission. To ask that our application be tabled now, soon, in your meeting, when multiple opportunities existed to inform us that no zoning requests would be considered until the conclusion of Chiillicothe's comprehensive rewrite of its planning and zoning code, is disappointing. In addition to the above meetings where zoning and planning commission members spent a significant amount of time deliberating, additional time was spent by our city council members researching, speaking with constituents and residents on May 26th, May 28th, June 12th, June 16th, and July 10th. Also opportunities to inform us that changes to zoning for a property could not be made due to the existence of the comprehensive rewrite of the zoning and planning code. Indeed, no mention was made until July 14, 2025, when the first reading of 25-047 was to be announced. Meanwhile, a building has remained empty for 10 months, the city has been without desired veterinary services, and earnings that could have resulted in collected tax income for the city was not earned. Respectfully, rather than tabling the readings of 25-047 regarding 36 North Walnut as directed by the law office, could it be considered please be considered concurrently with the DE district zoning readings, with the understanding that if the August 28th public hearing concludes that the conditional veterinary use in the DE district shall not be allowed, that the matter regarding 36 North Walnut will be dropped in its entirety? And I have a
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie Brown, 98 Douglas Avenue. First, would love to commend Bob. Great speaking voice, loud and clear in the back. I want to thank the mayor for that report. I just would like to appeal to the council to what capacity you can. I'd ask that you subpoena or compel How Met to do whatever you can to get them in here and hold their feet to the fire. I'm a little fatigued at the ability of our state government to hold multinational corporations accountable for the harm they've done to our city. So whatever folks in this room can do to bring multinational corporations to speak to you directly, I'm going to advocate that you do that. And I wanted to go on a tangent about that issue, but then I just was called into action to address this climate change issue and solar power. So I'm going to go into a few issues there. Climate change is real. The reason we know climate change is real is because insurance companies are actively in Ross and Vinton County and the surrounding counties in Appalachia. They're redistricting floodplain redrawings and issuing hikes and infrastructure damage in insurance plans. That's how you know it's real, because capital is responding to it. What's causing climate change? So there's 97% is the number that's thrown out, and that's like kind of the generally accepted. 97% of climate scientists agree that climate change is a human-affected change in carbon emissions. And the response that I've heard is, but then there's that 3%. I know many folks in this room have succumbed some loved ones to things like cancer and other debilitating medical illnesses. I know some people do take that 3% chance, but the people I love and care about, and a lot of folks I love and care about who have survived cancer, they went with the 97% of scientists. So in terms of climate change and what causes it and the things we need to do to address it, I would say, obviously you're your own people, so you're going to make your own decisions. I'm going to ask that my elected officials go with the 97% of science and say what's causing that climate change. That report that's stated in this paper, this propaganda paper that's laying around, PJM interconnection. That report did not specifically blame solar power for the unreliability. There's a lot of factors in what's making our electrical grid unreliable. I'm going to give you a biased perspective. One of those is fossil fuel companies playing that same capital-driven game where it happens with slumlords, right? A slumlord maximizes their profit by not investing in a property that they're responsible for. Same way with fossil fuel companies. They really loved when oil was nice and cheap back in the 1950s, when you just throw lead in it, clean it up, you didn't have to process it through these sophisticated scientific methods. We just throw lead in it, clean it up, and then melt all our brains. But we don't have lead in gasoline anymore. And so it's more expensive to clean. And so they had to figure out different ways to clean these fossil fuels. And so how do they make up for those expenses? They let their infrastructure degrade. They let their pipes rust. Why I'm asking you to get national corporations into this body to make sure that our drinking water is safe is the same reason I'm highlighting this failure in capital, which is their profit motive is not to invest in things that they maximize output from the money that they get. So, part of that blame and on unreliability in our system is just blatant disregard for the infrastructure that exists currently, right? But there's also an explosion in demand.
You got about a minute.
I appreciate that. Just real quick, and I don't mean for this piece, but it's that idea about solar only being available during daylight. That is the principled reason that lets me understand that there's a really big misunderstanding of what solar energy is. The energy that is produced during the day has such potential that you store it and you create different ways to access it, because this isn't the 1950s. When you create energy through the sun, you're not just throwing it away at nighttime. The innovation in the future is going to come with how you store that energy later. And the last thing I'll lead you with is, and I just want to emphasize, that report, the PJM interconnection report, it did not say that solar energy is the cause of the unreliability. It didn't take a stance on what is, except that there's a vast example of reasons why that is. It did not say that it's solar.
Thanks.
And you should consider that.
Thank you.
John Thacker, 990 Columbus Street, apartment 307, Chiillicothe. I'll be a bit shorter. For those of you who are listening in the public, some of us here who sat outside for who knows how long waiting for a committee meeting to finish, which was an executive session, I don't recall hearing any sort of report as to anything that can be talked about that was conducted during that, I guess you would call it, executive session of the Facilities Committee. Mr. Creed is chair of Committee of the Whole Council. At some point, I suspect that it would be useful if the people who pay your salaries would like to know what's going on there and exactly what sort of information you folks are coming up with. It would be ideal if you could do that in open session as it is. I realize there are legal reasons that if there's a contract that's being negotiated, that you cannot do so. But quite honestly, I get emails about the upcoming committee meetings, and I was not informed that this would be part of that meeting. Perhaps I was naive. I'm not a member of council, so of course I'm not privy to all the information you folks are. But I just need to ask if that is going to be how the business of the Facilities Committee will be conducted in the future, or is there some point at which you will let the rest of us know what's going on? Please.
I'll respond. It'll be done according to the Ohio Revised Code. No actions can be taken in an executive session. So if any action's taken by this council in any deliberations, it'll take place in open session.
lovely little button. My name is AJ Tainer. I live at 81 North Paint Street, apartment 2B here in Chiillicothe. To be or not to be, I make that joke entirely too much. I'm up here speaking because I know I've seen on the city website that that Mayor Feeney does office hours on occasion scattered around town. And I wanted to see if City Council, if any of you have something similar, because I and the Chiillicothe City Trackers and the Democrats Club and the NAACP and at least 5 other organizations that I've somehow joined are all working together to make a community calendar where people can just go and look to find anything that's happening in town, whether that's office hours with the mayor, city council meetings, food banks, any kind of events in town, as a way to easily have a resource to get involved and get help with things. I'll be the first to admit I have not gone through the city council website or the city website page by page yet to find this information. But I knew the meeting was tonight, and I had this idea 2 days ago, so I figured it'd be a lot easier to just ask you all face to face. Does anybody have office hours or anything that they'd like to offer up? Or
The coffee with council is the one thing that we're doing right now. That's the only thing that I'm aware of.
does anybody have anything individual? Bro. Thank you, Yanni.
Many of us will be having meet and greets, obviously during the campaign season. I don't know when that's scheduled yet, but we can let you know when we schedule something. So
Absolutely, I appreciate that. And then, Mayor Feeney, when is the office hours that you hold?
We don't have a regular schedule, but we post them, try to get them a week or 2 in advance online.
Okay, and where are those posted so that I can find them to help share that information?
Facebook and the city website.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
I just came because I was concerned about, I heard about the possible animal hospital. And I heard that
Excuse me, can you give us your name and address?
Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, that's okay.
Benjamin Duchess.
Don't apologize, but we need your name.
Benjamin Duchess, 78 South Walnut Street, apartment 313. And I would like a veterinary clinic closer to me because I'm basically Walnut and 4th, and I don't drive. I'm in a wheelchair, and all the vet clinics are a couple miles away from me, and I think it's a good idea. I haven't looked because I didn't know the address that it was going to be 36 Walnut, so I can go look now and maybe come back. I just think it'd be good. Some people said there'd be more fecal matter in the area, but usually veterinary clinics put a trash can out the other thing, and I don't think it would be messy. Yeah, there'll be more traffic, but I just need it closer to me and other friends of mine who don't drive, who are wheelchair bound or are unable to drive. You know, that's all I just wanted to say. I want to put a positive light on it. It'd be helpful for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Melody Hatfield. What would a meeting be without me saying something? So here I am. Again, I want to thank council, each and every single one of you. I would like to thank Mayor Feeney for all the support that you have given us with the military, Chiillicothe Ross Military Tribute Museum. As Bob said, I was rather surprised to find out that only the Tiffin property came back, and where he's not quite as blunt, I am. So at the last council meeting, I was told that it would be on the agenda this time, definitely the next time. And I'm wondering if somebody can assure me and the other members of the community that are involved in this if it will in fact be on the agenda for the next council meeting on the 11th. So we got a whole lot of stuff to do, and we're just spinning our wheels right now.
So I checked into this last Friday,
Mhm.
and the law director's office assured me that they were working on this right now as I talked to them.
Okay.
So we knew that this Tiffin property was going to be on this agenda, and that's why I reached out to ask them why the other one wasn't.
Right.
And they could just reassure me that they were working hard on it. So
Okay. Can I specifically ask why it didn't happen? Because my understanding is that the requirements that are put together with the law office are very similar for the Tiffin property and for the military museum. So did I misunderstand? I mean, I may very well. I still have senior blonde moments, even though I only have blonde highlights. I don't mean to put you on
no,
the
that's
spot,
okay.
but-
Does the law director have anything on this by any chance?
I can tell you we've gone back and forth quite a bit with the verbiage with both of them, and one of the assistant law directors that has that is researching the language to make sure it's accurate.
Okay.
So that's where we are.
Okay, it's not the same as what you're doing with the Tiffin property?
They're two different properties.
Okay. Okay, so we're thinking that it's going to be on the agenda in 2 weeks. Are you thinking it's going to be on the agenda in 2 weeks?
It's my understanding that that should be.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And did I give my address? I don't know if I did or not. Melody Hatfield, 355 Brennan Road, Chiillicothe. And thank you so much for all you guys do.
Thank you. If there's no more audience participation, we're going to move on to old business. Is there any old business to come before council? Hearing none, we'll move to petitions and correspondence.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. I have not received anything.
Moving now on to new business. Is there any new business to come before council?
Yes, President Shoemaker. I'm going to read this because this is what the law director gave me regarding the vet clinics in downtown area. And I am requesting that we have a public hearing set on the 28th of August, 2025 at 5 p.m. at the Chamber, the City Council. Veterinary offices, not including outside board of animals, with the following additional requirements. Licensed veterinarian operation. The veterinarian clinic shall be operated by a licensed or registered veterinarian. Enclosed facility requirement. All principal activities shall be conducted within a fully enclosed principal building. No outdoor pet closures or runs shall be permitted. Item 3, boarding limitations. Indoor boarding shall be limited to incidental treatment or surgery only. When animals are boarded overnight, video surveillance shall be maintained. 24-hour on-site staffing is not required. Item number 4, outdoor exercise of medically boarded animals shall be permitted only under direct supervision of veterinary clinic staff and on a substrate appropriate to the area that can be maintained to control odors and prevent spread of disease. No animals shall be permitted outside the building between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Number 5, no on-site burial or incineration of animals shall occur on the premise. Number 6, odor and noise control. Measures shall be taken to adequately control odors and noise so as not to create a nuisance to the neighboring properties. The building's construction as a bomb shelter is recognized as a factor mitigating barking noise concerns, and that's regarding specifically 36 North Walnut Street. Number 7, waste management. All waste materials shall be removed daily. No animal waste shall be buried or allowed to accumulate on site. Compliance with state law, item number 8. The facility shall comply with applicable provisions of Ohio Revised Code Chapter 4741 regarding veterinary practice standards, waste disposal, and sanitation. And I'm asking that we have that public hearing on the 28th, which is in accordance to the recommendation of the Planning Commission and in accordance with Chiillicothe Ordinance number 1117.07, that council sets that meeting, and to consider amending Chiillicothe Ordinance 1151.03 as I've explained. Thank you, President Shoemaker.
Thank you. If you're making that in the form of a motion, if we want to do it formally, why don't we just accept that as a motion and ask if there's a second? A second by Mr. Creed, and I'll ask the clerk to call the roll relative to that particular motion.
Thank you.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Motion passes, and the clerk will be instructed then to put out whatever necessary information relative to the public hearing.
Thank you.
Another order on the new businesses, there's a first ward vacancy on the Board of Zoning Appeals. The mayor's nominated Steve Seitz. Is there a motion to approve the appointment of Mr. Seitz? Ms. Preston, motion, seconded by Ms. Bennett. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn, Creed.
Yes.
So Mr. Seitz is approved. There's one other thing. I will be sending this, or at least requesting that the law director take a look, and I'm not certain, but there's been some discussion in the press about golf cart legislation and underspeed vehicles and whether municipality has to pass some ordinances. So I'll make a request from them so they can make sure that there's nothing that we need to do to make sure that people with golf carts and slow moving vehicles need some kind of approval of an ordinance. But I'll get that sent over to the law director and just make sure that there isn't something that we're overlooking. So I want to make sure that we get that done too. If there's no more new business, we'll now move to the reading of ordinances and resolutions.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have 5 items on the agenda this evening. Item number 1 is the first reading of a resolution authorizing the Greater Chiillicothe and Ross County development to facilitate the future development of affordable housing on city-owned property located at 145 South Bridge Street and 364 East 5th Street, and authorizing city officials to execute that attached development agreement.
Resolution will move to the next agenda. Next ordinance.
Item number 2 is the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $1,470,000 road construction and servicing vehicle and equipment bonds, Series 2025, for the purpose of paying part of the cost of acquiring a dump truck, street sweeper, tandem axle truck, and bobcat skid steer and loader, including all related equipment and appurtenances thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Creed.
President Shoemaker, I'd like to make a motion to waive the 3-read rule.
Is there a second? Second, Mr. Dement. The clerk will call the roll relative to the 3-read rule.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The 3-read rule is waived. The clerk will now call the roll relative to the ordinance.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. The next ordinance.
Item number 3 is the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $250,000 police vehicle bonds, Series 2025, for the purpose of paying part of the costs of acquiring 4 police vehicles, including all related equipment and appurtenances thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Creed,
President Shoemaker, I'd like to make a motion to waive the 3-read rule, please.
is there a second? Second, Ms. Preston. The clerk will call the roll relative to the waiver of the 3-read rule.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The 3-read rule is waived. The clerk will call the roll relative to the ordinance.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. The next ordinance.
Item number 4 is the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $300,000 city vehicle and equipment bonds, Series 2025, for the purpose of paying part of the costs of acquiring a vehicle for the engineering department and a tractor and mower arm, including all related equipment and appurtenances thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Creed,
President Shoemaker, I'd like to make a motion to waive the 3-read rule.
is there a second? Ms. Dunn, the clerk will call the roll relative to the waiver of the 3-read rule.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
3-read rule is waived. The clerk will call the roll relative to the ordinance.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. The next ordinance.
Item number 5 is the first reading of an ordinance consolidating up to 3 bond issues of the City of Chiillicothe, Ohio, into a consolidated bond issue, establishing the terms of such consolidated bond issue, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Creed,
President Shoemaker, for the last time, I'd like to make a motion to waive the 3-read rule, please.
there's no limit on how many times you can ask. Second by Mr. McCourt. The clerk will call the roll relative to the 3-read rule.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The 3-read rule is waived. The clerk will call the roll relative to the ordinance.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. If there's no other business come before council, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. A motion by Mr. Dement, second by Mr. McCourt, and the clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
McCourt,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you so much.